Hello guys, today is Saturday and the topic of the talk of today is disrupt or be disrupted. I wouldn't call myself a newbie to AI. I basically was using it since maybe the first few months when it emerged. Firstly, it was autocomplete in VS Code. Later it was using ChatGPT for coding, and so I could call myself like a rather proficient person when it comes to AI, and kept using it later in my software development work, and I switched to cursors, so I'm pretty knowledgeable about what it means to use AI to produce software. So, but the thing that's happened is I've delivered my last project a few months ago, and I was primarily using Cursor for that. Worked really nice. But what happened now is I synced with best practices in this field, and all of a sudden it all clicked for me. Like, the revolution is here, and it will not only be about software development or content creation, basically white-collar job. It will change everything. It will change everything. And the main takeaway so far is that AI will become, and in some rare occasions already is, the operational layer for doing business and life in general. So how will it look? As for now, and for the next maybe half a year, it will be all about agents. Agents will become pervasive in our life, and they will progressively hand out more and more of our day-to-day tasks. And once again, I want to reiterate that we are not talking only about software or content. It's the next iteration of this will be twofold. So one part of it will be like the extension of your brain, in which you will learn how to use AI as a continuous feedback machine, where you feed it with your life context, and it returns optimization in all layers of your existence. Each decision you make can and will progressively be amplified by AI. And the second layer of it is actual execution, and this is where agents step in. So all domains of our life as individuals and as organizations will be heavily augmented by AI. And if you look for historical periods that are representative of what's about to happen, you could look at an industrial revolution of the late 19th century and first half of the 20th century. So back then, two things happened. Electricity was introduced as a substitute to steam power, and the second, and it spurred production revolution. And the second thing that revealed itself was transportation, primarily railroads and cars. And at that moment, society underwent rapid transformation. People started moving from villages to big cities. Traditional ways of making business, producing stuff, were effectively put out of the game, and the new category of people emerged. Plant workers, primarily. And large conglomerates of people started to rise and basically outclassed and removed all the rest from the labor market. So that's what has happened there. And this transformation was not painless. Lots of people got excluded. Lots of people lost their means of production, of sustaining themselves economically. And this is exactly the thing that's about to happen these days with AI and agents. So people will split into two categories. The first one will be those who will reject this innovation due to conscious decisions or maybe a lack of ability. But my personal take on this is that lack of ability is very rarely the case, and it will mostly be attributed to the problem of willingness. But that's my point of view. And there will also be some people who will not be able to access AI due to geography, political reasons, geopolitical reasons, and this group of people will suffer the consequences as well. But there will be also another group of people, those who adapt well, those who will manage to use the technology to their advantage, and they will be a new form of human being. I don't know how to call it. Like, I don't want to use any loaded words here, but the fact that these people are augmented is a fact. I often like to refer to mass culture, mass entertainment, science fiction in particular, because it's very good at predicting future, actually, for reference. And while you keep in mind that mass, collective, unconscious speaks through metaphor and exaggeration, we could remind ourselves that the topic of a human being merged with a machine was very pervasive in the second half of the previous century. So I think that's exactly what is about to happen. And I'm specifically mentioning that it's a metaphor for a reason, because you won't see people like with cybernetic limbs or stuff like that. It will look like a guy with a phone, and later maybe like a guy or a gal with a neural implant that makes communication with large language models seamless. And I think at that moment people will have good reasons to actually conceal it, because this new divide will not be a peaceful divide. I can actually assume that this new divide will be the primary divide of the rest. I wouldn't say like the rest of the century, but in the coming decades, that's for sure. Augmented people, AI-enabled people versus those who choose to not to use this technology or just can't. If you ask me, my choice is obviously use it and master it. I'm not necessarily in favor of actual augmentation and installing brain-computer interfaces. That's up to debate and to study. But at this exact moment, the economic impact of it will be very, very visible and very, very powerful. And what's going to happen during the rest of this year, and especially in the next year, as these agents integrate deeper with our everyday lives, more and more of white-collar workers all around the world, but primarily in the States, will find themselves excluded from the economy. And this is a very ripe situation for political and religious radicalization. So people in the States, as of my understanding, are longing for consolidation, for a centrist government, or I wouldn't necessarily say longing, but they could certainly benefit from a centrist government that will eradicate political divide and lead the nation to be whole again. But unfortunately, this new divide will be much harder to fix. And maybe, just maybe, some forward-thinking politician in the States could use this. But unfortunately, if we take the state of political systems of today, I would assume that it would be used as a tactical topic to gain following, disguised as labor rights defense of labor rights, or technical acceleration. I don't remember exact name for that, but there is another group there who are pro acceleration. And unfortunately, I as lots of other people, I want this divide to be fixed as soon as possible. But knowing historical patterns and knowledge of historical patterns and human nature tells me otherwise. To prepare for it to emerge, to embrace whatever social consequences will be out there in the next year, I should say. It's unlikely to see any deep economical or political consequences of that right now, because right now we're still in a state of shock. Very, very few people understand what's happening, and very even smaller amount of people and organizations are actually integrated with AI in a way which will become the default way in the coming years. I could imagine that the companies who develop AI, such as Anthropic, OpenAI, and maybe specific departments at Google, are not only leading the technological race, they are also leaders in implementation. So that's a self-reinforcing loop that makes them progressively advance and basically leave any other business to bite the dust. So what is the takeaway? Well, as I've said, it's a matter of choice. You could either prepare yourself for opposition to this AI revolution of economy, of business, and of society and politics eventually, or you could become a master of it. Like, if you can't stop it, and you absolutely can't, you should become proficient with it and find your niche in it, and ideally lead it.